So let's talk about how you're going to plan your time. Basically, time is the main asset that you have in your business right now because you are selling a service. And so you need to be really mindful about where is it going. Most freelancers just think about how to plan a project and what tasks they should do first, but they're not thinking high level about where to allocate their time. And so usually what they'll do is they'll spend 100% of their time just executing on their work, and then when they're stuck without a client, they'll say, oh, I need to actually market myself. So what we want to do is we want to think before kind of high level how we want to allocate our time. And I actually suggest something like this. You actually need to spend 50% of your time on delivery, and assuming you work a 40-hour week, which is 8 hours per day, that's going to be 20 hours every week on doing the work, and 40% on doing marketing, which is 32 hours every week. That basically leaves you 10% or 8 hours every week for management and admin and finance and all of that kind of stuff. Now, if you look at that, my bet is that it's very, very different from what you're actually doing today. Because as I said, I imagine that you're spending most of your time on the delivery work. And what you can see from this kind of visual pie chart is that you should put way more significant time going into marketing and sales, actually talking to clients and getting clients to know you. That is the only way that you're going to have consistent client, is if you put in consistent effort into doing all the marketing. You know, we had the week where we talked about the marketing channel, and if you don't spend a significant time working and building that marketing channel, there is no way that you're going to see the result that you want. So first of all, I want you to kind of look at this and grasp this and now think about, all right, now I need to think about my week. How does my week actually look like? Okay, and plan for something like that. Now let's talk about the more actionable planning of your time. So basically, in general, planning is, remember the circle that we drew in the first video, right? It's a circle. First we make a plan, then we execute on the plan, we review, and then we make. So it's basically kind of a cycle. And that cycle, we look at it from a yearly perspective, right? Just because that's how it is, right? And so we start the year with planning the year, and I'm going to show you the templates for that in a second. But doing the yearly planning, because we're planning for kind of a long period of time, we're taking a lot of time to think about this plan, right? So usually I take something between 1 to 2 days to think about the plan, and I'll show you again in a second how that planning looks like. And then we take 1 to 2 hours every month for doing kind of the monthly or quarterly review. So it's less time, but I have the last day of the months booked out at least 1-2 hours for me to actually review what happened, so I know if my yearly planning is running and being executed according to the plan, or what do I need to do next month in terms of tasks to make sure that my yearly plan is being executed as I wanted to. All right, so this is kind of both review of what happened last month and thinking about how to work, how to think about the next months. And I do it monthly, but I also do it quarterly. So every 3 months, right, we run January, February, March. That's called Q1, quarter one of the year. So it's breaking down the year from a big chunk to 4 chunks and then to 12 chunks. It's kind of a little bit more manageable. And again, you'll see this in a second when I'll show you the templates for planning. And then every week, I also take a little bit of time to look at the week. Okay, so that's basically 30 to 60 minutes every week to look at the week that I had and what I'm planning for the next week to see that the monthly plan is being implemented correctly. So I think you can see the patterns that we're making a big plan and then we're reviewing and we're keeping track of the plan, and it takes less and less time as when we're looking at a shorter period of time. And so every day I take 10 minutes, sometimes it's even less than 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, to track what I did that day and see that I'm actually on progress for the weekly plan, and make sure that my plan for tomorrow is going to help me achieve those weekly goals. So this is basically the time. It might look overwhelming and a lot right now, but think about this: 10 minutes per day, it's basically 1 hour per week. And then you're going to add to that 30 to 60 minutes of the weekly. So that's basically 1 to 2 hours of planning and tracking every week. It's not that bad. Remember that you have basically 8 hours of doing admin and management work every week, as we said. So it's not that bad. Let me show you how those planning docs look like. So as well, I'm working here in Coda, and I'm just showing you because this is my favorite way of doing things. You can implement this in whatever tool you want. And of course, you can duplicate these docs. So this is my daily document, okay? And the way that it works in Coda is that you can create kind of like subfolders and folders. So I have the daily, and it's basically 4 questions that I answer. What progress did I make today? Which is basically what tasks did I work on and what I did in each. What I did well, which means I want to motivate myself and give myself a feeling that something good happened. And then what I'm stuck with is, what I'm struggling with at the moment, and I'll explain why this is so important later. And then how will tomorrow be better? So those are 4 questions, 5 questions. It takes me between 5 to 10 minutes to fill this out every day. Now, the way that I work here in Coda is I have the week, and then I open up day 1. Let me actually show you my actual doc. So this is my actual doc from 2018 to 2019, and you can see here all the weeks. Every week here has all the days in it, okay? So you can pick a random day, and you can see what I did that day, what I did well, what I'm stuck on, how will tomorrow be better. Now, in this case, you can see there are some comments here because I work with my coach, and this doc is really helpful because he can see what I did and comment on it. So as you can see, I'm really tracking every day of every week for a few years now, and it's been super, super helpful. The reason is that at the end of the week, I'm getting to the end of the week, I'm doing my weekly review, right? What has been this week's successes, this week's struggles, and how am I going to make next week better? And that's very easy to do because all I have to do is go here and quickly go through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and see what went well and what you're stuck with. And it really gives you quickly the overview of how this week went. So doing the weekly review is actually very, very easy. And the same thing happens with the monthly review. All I have to do is quickly check out the 4 weekly reviews, and I know how the month went. So this is very, very helpful. Now here's the yearly template. I actually made a video about this, and so here in the doc you can actually watch the video of exactly how I use this planning doc, because it's a little bit of elaborate, and I don't know if I'll go in depth into this. But basically, here's how I plan my year. I start off with my vision for myself and the goals that I want to achieve for the year, trying to understand what's actually going on right now. Okay, this is actually a framework that's based on the book Good Strategy, Bad Strategy. So I'm trying to understand what's really going on in my business. What are the challenges in my business right now? Do I have some kind of a leverage advantage that maybe I'm not using? Why do I think the problem occurs? And then possible solutions, and then pick one of them as my strategy. And then I put this into an action, right? So here I'm basically dividing this to 4 Qs, the 4 quarters of the year, and I decide what I'll try to do or what is my priority for this quarter. And then here I'm breaking it down pretty similar to how I'm doing this in the daily doc, right? I have the plan. So this is pretty similar based on the action plan. My initiatives and my tasks for every month. And then at the end of every month, I'm going to do a review. And that review usually is based on the summary of the weekly reviews. And I'll say, here's what I learned, here's what happened during the first quarter or the first months, and here's what I learned. And that's going to affect my planning for the next quarter. So these are my templates. I encourage you to actually watch this doc to hear me dive a little bit deeper into this. You can copy these docs, or you can create them on your own favorite doc management software, but I do encourage you to put the systems in place in terms of planning for and booking in your calendar that 1-2 days for yearly planning, that day at the end of the month to do your monthly or quarterly planning. Then at the end of every week, leave 30 to 60 minutes for weekly planning. And then every day at the end of the day, leave 10 to 15 minutes for daily review.